everyone, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Bumi Ajayi. I'm glad you can join me again. In my last video, I started a series on commitment. So this is the big C of commitment part 2. If you missed part 1, please do check it out on my YouTube channel. But as a way of a quick summary, in part 1, I looked at what commitment is. That commitment is not an event. It's not a one-day event that we do the day we get married. Commitment is a state or quality of being dedicated to a cause, to an activity. So, commitment in marriage is our dedication, our devotion to each other and to the relationship. It's our allegiance, it's loyalty, it's our faithfulness to the relationship. It's us having a sense of responsibility and obligation, not only towards our spouses, but towards the relationship and towards making the relationship work. I also looked at what commitment is, what it looks like in practice. I looked at the essentials of commitment in marriage. I also looked at, what happens when we do not have a good sense of commitment in our relationships. So today I'll be looking at how we can improve our commitment to each other and to our relationship. Commitment in marriage it's not something that we can achieve overnight. It's a journey and it requires patience and dedication. The first thing I want to talk about on how to improve commitment in our marriage, obviously, is our continuous and intentional effort. And when I say continuous and intentional effort, I want to emphasize that it's actually the small and continuous intentional effort that we put into marriage that matters more. It's the small things that matter. It matters that we demonstrate daily, regularly, small attempts, small effort on a regular basis. The big gestures, the grand gestures, they are good, but usually those grand gestures, they are usually far and in between in our relationships. I mean, nobody throws a surprise party for their spouse every week. So it's all right to throw a surprise party for your spouse, but that's not something that we do every day because it requires more effort to plan. So it's important that we pay attention to those small gestures and to do them on a consistent basis. It's a mistake when we think that, oh, it's the grand gestures. And sometimes we make the error of thinking that the grand gestures will make up for the small gestures that we are not putting effort into on a regular basis. So if you don't prioritize telling your spouse that they're important to you, you don't prioritize spending time with them, you don't tell them you love them, you don't tell them they're important to you, and yet you throw a party, a surprise party, and you invite the whole world to celebrate them. I mean, sometimes we have to ask ourselves, who are you doing it for? And so we must prioritize those small gestures because they are those small gestures that demonstrate our love and affection towards our spouses. Little things like sending a text. If you're apart, just send them a text. You're not sending them a text to say, oh, please remember to buy milk because we've run out of milk. A text just because. Even if it's just a line, hi, how are you? How are you doing? How is work? Just something to tell them that you are mindful of them. A small gift, not necessarily, a small gift just because, not because it's their birthday or because it's your anniversary, cooking their favorite meals, a hug, a kiss, those daily habits, those daily small gestures that we need to do on a regular basis. Those are the ones that actually helps us to increase our sense of commitment in our relationship. It's also important that we include gestures that speak to our spouse's love languages. So it's important to know what makes them tick, what makes them feel loved, because all these things can make a big difference in a relationship and it helps to increase our sense of commitment towards one another. We must also remember when we're talking about continuous effort that it's a two-way thing. So it's important that as the husband is making the effort, the wife is also making the effort. We must both be willing to put the effort into committing to one another. And that means choosing each other daily. It means being willing to compromise. It means being willing to help each other out, to support each other through the ups and downs of life. The second point I've got is to embrace codependency instead of independence. A popular author says marriage is not about finding someone to live with, it's about finding someone that you can't live without. So we will be in error if in marriage we choose to continue to live independently. And sometimes unfortunately we see this happen, where people are married but they want to continue to live as if they're not. We should have in our spouses someone that we genuinely love and someone that we cannot imagine our lives without. And I appreciate that, this might not be the experience of every married couple, but this is what this is about. This is what this information is about. This is what this video is all about, to help us to get to the point where we can actually say to our spouses that I cannot imagine my life without you, and that they will be able to say the same to us as well. We must also demonstrate to our spouses that we need them, because this is what codependency is all about. It's not to be confused with being needy. It's not about being needy. As humans, we all want to be needed. So if the message that we're passing to our spouses, or that our spouses are passing to us by their actions or by what they do, is that they don't need us, or we are telling them that we don't need them, that's not going to help our sense of commitment in any shape or form. When we make decisions without them, without informing them, you disregard their views, you ignore them, you say things like, what is the big deal in what you do? I don't need you, and all sorts of things. How do we then expect them to be committed to the relationship? We need each other. And it's a fallacy to suggest that we don't. When people say things that, oh, who needs a man? Who needs a woman? Such advice and such comments, such statements usually comes from a place of bitterness in people who have had bad experiences in their relationships. But that is not the counsel of God. God wants us to be better together. Ecclesiastes 4:11-12 says, also, if two lie together, they will keep warm. But how can one keep warm alone? Though one may be overpowered, two can defend themselves. And he went on to say, a cord of three strands is not easily broken. So marriage is meant to put us in a better stead. It's meant to help us to be better together. We must consciously lie down together to keep warm. So for us to enjoy the benefits of marriage, we must consciously live in codependency of each other. And the reality that I can't do it without my spouse will also help to increase my sense of commitment, because if I know that I need my spouse, and my spouse knows that, look, I need my wife, I can't do without my wife, I can't do without my husband, it will mean that we will be more committed to the relationship. And if we don't do this, then we will deny ourselves in so many ways. If we insist on living independently in marriage, then we will be losing out. And I will just put a note of caution here that we should never use codependency as a weapon against each other. We should never use it to hold our spouses to ransom in specific areas that they depend on us. Maybe you think, oh, I'm the better cook, so if I don't cook, is she won't eat or it won't eat, and so we hold them to ransom. No, that's not what it's about. It's about each person fulfilling their roles. I need you, you need me. It is abuse when we start to hold our spouses to ransom in those areas in which they depend on us. We must also avoid threatening, divorce, or threatening withdrawing of our support or withdrawing of our love, with threatening separation, threatening divorce because we're having a tough time, because those things does nothing to help our marriage or to help the sense of commitment that we or our spouses should have towards our relationship. The next thing I want to talk about is the importance of regularly reviewing our marriage goals. It's very easy, to forget our marriage goals. Sometimes before you get married, you would have talked about, oh, what kind of marriage do we want? How do we want our marriage to be? And all that. But sometimes when we get into marriage and life happens, work, pregnancy, children, the demands of life, we can sometimes forget the things that the goals that we set out to achieve through our marriage. So it's important that we regularly constantly review those goals. Even if you don't have goals you didn't set out with goals before you get married, it's never too late. We can sit down and say, right, okay, what do we want our goals to be in this marriage? How are we doing? I am an advocate for a regular sit down. How are we doing reviews? And I've mentioned this in a few of my videos. We do this at work, so why not do it in our marriages? If you can't do it monthly or bi-monthly, quarterly, biannually, at least we should do it once a year on our wedding anniversary. But I would definitely recommend to do it more frequently, quarterly at the minimum. 1 year is a long time to, for a review. And when we do those reviews, we should be asking ourselves, what kind of marriages did we say we wanted when we started out? you know and what kind of marriage do we have now? Are we achieving our goals? What can we do differently? Are we happy? What is the state of our relationship? Are we happy with the state of our relationship? Our models, our role models in marriage, are we emulating them? Or are we actually becoming the people that we vowed not to be like? Because some of us will see marriages and be, oh, I never want my marriage to be like that. But if we don't take caution, if we are not careful, we will find ourselves actually heading the same way that we vowed that we were not going to head. And having a regular review of our marriage goals will help us, to refocus us and renew our sense of commitment to building the marriage of our dreams rather than giving up on it, or rather than just letting life happen to us without taking control. The next thing is close to it. It's about setting shared goals. As married couples, when we set shared goals, it helps our commitment because we are both working towards achieving our goal. And when we work together towards achieving those goals, it helps our sense of commitment. And the goals could be anything. It could be, from we want to expand our family, maybe we want to have another child, to we want to buy a bigger house, or we want to, build a loft or expand our house or improve our home, or to we want to start a business, or we want to plan our dream holiday. It could be anything. So, but what's most important is that we regularly set shared goals, because when we work together to achieve these goals, it helps our sense of commitment. Having something to work towards not only helps our sense of commitment, but it strengthens our bonds as well. It makes us feel more committed, more connected to each other. The fifth one is to make agreement on important decisions our priority. Agreeing on important decisions should be our priority if we want to improve our commitment to each other. We can make sure that we are on the same page regarding issues. And this usually means that we have to have open and honest conversations about important and sensitive issues that usually couples tend to shy away from. But once we make up our minds that we want to prioritize agreement, we want to make sure that we agree on issues, then it means that we are forced to talk about how we're spending our money, how we parent our children, the boundaries that we set for our families, our in-laws, and things like that. We are forced to talk about those issues. It also helps to align our values and our beliefs, because when our values and beliefs and goals are in alignment, it helps our sense of commitment to the relationship. And it also helps to prevent unnecessary misunderstandings and conflicts that affect our relationships and affect our sense of commitment. The last thing I want to talk about is to ensure that we seek help and intervention when needed. If we want to maintain commitment in our relationship, we must recognize when we need help and intervention, and we must not shy away from seeking help unless we are living in denial, which is sometimes very common. you know, as a married couple, when our relationship is deteriorating, we will know we will know. But unfortunately, sometimes, individual pride and ego means that nobody is willing to step up or actually do something about it. When we get to a position where the issues that we're facing, is going beyond us, we're unable to deal with it, we should be able to step up and seek for help. There's nothing to be ashamed of. It's nothing to be ashamed of at all. But it's important that one of us is able to start that process. I always say that when it comes to reconciliation or when it comes to issues like that, it's the bigger person is the person that steps up. So it's not something to feel ashamed of. I'm not going to be the one to say we're having an issue. I'm not going to be the one to seek for help, because at the end of the day, the relationship will suffer for it. So it's important that we recognize. And again, that's why it's also important for couples to have, a bit of social agreement, in terms of when we're having issues, or when it comes to, a brick wall, when we can't move forward, what do we do? So when you both agree, okay, we can speak to this person or speak to this relationship or marriage coach or counselor, you are both agreed, then it means that you don't need to wait for the other person's consent before you actually seek help. We should never wait until our marriage is on the verge of breakdown, or until it's almost too late, or we're just suffering in silence. We should never wait, before we seek help, because seeking help when we need help also helps to prevent unnecessary escalation, and it helps us to increase our commitment because it refocuses us and it provides valuable insights and strategies that will help us to deal with the issues that we're having. Quickly, I've been alluding to them. I just want to look at, the benefits of having a strong commitment, a strong sense of commitment from both spouses. I won't dwell too much on it. The first thing is it fosters and builds trust, because we're able to reinforce the belief that we can rely on each other through the thick and thin and various challenges of life. It also fosters a sense of safety and emotional security, because emotional security is essential to the survival of any marriage. So if I know that I don't have anything to be worried about, I can be vulnerable with my spouse, I can be myself. It encourages deeper emotional connection, and it's important that we're able to enjoy that in our relationship. A strong sense of commitment also fosters stability and resilience. It gives us the strength, the stability that we need to build a life together, to plan for the future, to feel secure in our relationship. It also encourages mutual growth, because when we are committed to each other, we want to grow, we want to get better, we want to enjoy our relationship better. We are likely to support each other's, personal development, and pursue personal goals and joint goals and aspirations together when when we both have a strong sense of commitment. A strong sense of commitment also enhances our communication. It helps us to understand each other better. Because we're committed, we are more likely to invest more time and effort to communicating effectively. It also provides us a sense of belonging, because you know that you are for me, I am for you, we are committed to each other. A strong sense of commitment also helps, encourages planning for the future, because you can actually see a future in the relationship. But when there's no sense of, strong commitment, it might be difficult to see a future in the relationship. It enhances physical intimacy. I've talked about this before. It goes without saying. It also fosters mutual respect. It encourages forgiveness. We are not likely to dwell longer in conflict when we have a strong sense of commitment. We will be all about wanting to resolve conflict when they come. It encourages a good sense of teamwork, promotes emotional and mental health, encourages selflessness, promotes mutual understanding, prevents conflict. There's so many benefits to having a strong sense of commitment. It also helps our problem solving skills and our ability to compromise, because you know that we're in this together. There is no plan B. It makes us more willing to compromise for the good of the relationship. I'm going to stop here. I've looked at how we can improve commitment, a strong sense of commitment in our marriage, and I've looked at the benefits of having a strong sense of commitment in our marriage. Commitment in marriage is not an event, it's a long-term thing. It is essential for the success of any relationship, because commitment is the foundation upon which trust, love, and mutual respect are built. Commitment in marriage requires us to have a good communication, forgiveness, sacrifice, and compromise. And if we want to build a long lasting relationship, it's important that we build a strong sense of commitment. Thank you so much once again for joining me. Please do like and share the video with people that you think it might help. And remember, like I always say, marriage is to be enjoyed, not merely endured. God bless you. Bye.